Hey guys, Equinox. This is going to be the Season 4 Algeth'ar Academy guide. I'm going to go ahead and press play and we're going to go over it. So the buff you're going to want to get is Brew is either Crit or Verse, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. I think Verse is more important overall, I'd say. So I'm going to pause really quick and just go over this first pull. So there's three mobs here. The little lashers, they just melee. They don't really do anything special. The aggravated skitterflies and the big lashers. So the aggravated skitterfly get a stacking in rage that increases their physical damage dealt by 25%. This does not affect their darting sting, which is a dash that targets non-tanks and does nature damage. So that's they just run out, they dash. It makes getting aggro pretty annoying. So if your range don't play kind of near melee, then it gets pretty aggravating for aggro. And then the Vile Lashes, they do an ability called Seed Detonation. Puts a bunch of swirlies on the ground under players' feet. And if you stand in it, you get hit by a big nature damage, you get disoriented. And yeah, pretty bad. So I'm going to go ahead and play. This is the big lust pull that everyone likes in this key. The faster you pull, if you pull these in sync, they usually sync up pretty well. So you see those little swirlies on the ground, they're baited on players. And like I said, these don't really do too much. They're kind of just, this pack is literally just don't stand in swirlies and keep the aggravated skitterflies semi-grouped. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to separate the skitterflies from the pack, so like say you only want to do 3 skitterflies at the same time, then you could just para the middle one of each pack. So say you want to not do the far one, you would just para the middle one, probably near the exit, so like all the way at the opposite end from where you come from. That's where you would do it at. This first boss has not changed since Season 1. It's literally the same. It always does germinate, and then spawns a triad, and then does germinate again, and then does burst forth. And you want the mastery tracker, which for his tank debuff. So I'm gonna have that link down below. And you want to just dodge as many as possible, so blackout kick, everything like that. Same thing you do for Soul Goliath. I have I'll have the how to abuse mastery video in the description as well. And then he summons these ads, and then you kill this ad. So this ad puts a AoE bleed on everyone. You can stone form this off, you can cauterize this off. Once this ad dies, it puts a giant healing circle on the ground. It tops you and removes all your bleeds. But this also heals the boss, so make sure you either have a mortal wound on the boss or move him out. And mortal wound is like Mortal Strike, Rising Sun Kick for Windwalker, Hunter Pet, Wound Poison, stuff like that. And then when he does Burst Force, these ads all spawn and have an aggro table, so make sure you have either Exploding Keg or just a decent chunk of aggro already set up for this pack. And then now you get a stacking Poison Dot. So what I would do is I would dispel the first one. If you only have one dispel, and then diffuse, and then dispel after the diffuse falls off. And that's pretty much where you want a defensive, is when you get the Tank Buster debuff called Bark Breaker with the ad spawns. That's the rough overlap. And same thing, kill the ad, kick the healing touch. Same thing. Super easy fight, super straightforward. For Germinate, just make sure you all stack on the tank and move clockwise or counterclockwise, whichever way you prefer, and make sure you're not leading too hard. And there's the ad spawns again, and that's it. Super simple fight. The next mob up is going to be the Storm Sentry. This mob spawns a tornado that does a crap ton of initial damage, does a tank buster magic hit, and then does a giant AoE circle, and that's it. And I will fast forward you guys to that, and you can see it for yourself. So we should spawn tornado first. I think we go left here, actually. Yeah, we do left and do a big pull because we have cooldowns up. So I'm going to pause really good just to explain the mobs. So over here, we have corrupted mana fiends, and they do mana void and surge. Mana void and surge. Mana void is like a little circle under your feet, and then does a heavy dot, and then it explodes at the end of it to people within 4 yards. And then the battle axes do severing slash on the tank, heavy damage. It can be dodged normally, but yeah, it's just a nasty bleed. You really hope to dodge it. You can CC it without recast. And then there's the scepter, which does Mystic Blast, and you can just CC that. It is no longer kickable, so you need like Leg Sweep, Para, Rop. Then there's the Foragers, which do Vicious Lunge, which just targets a player, lunges at them, does damage. And then there's the big guy who also does the Vicious Lunge, but it's called Vicious Ambush. This is LOSable, so you can, like, if it picks the farthest person, so whoever's out can, like, go, like, on the bridge and then LOS it, and then he won't jump at all, and then he'll target the tank for Rift Breath. So basically all you have to do is have one person stand out near the bridge or any LOS spot, and then just LOS when the Vicious Ambush cast is about to finish. He will stand still, he'll target the tank with the breath, and then you'll go about your way. And this is the Storm Sentry I was talking about. There's the Expel Intruders, then he does Storm Slash, then he spawns Tornado, and that Tornado will stun you if you get hit, if it doesn't just one-shot you. And you basically just want to, like, make sure you have Empowered Breath of Fire up here, and have a Celestial Brew or a defensive for each of the Storm Slashes if you're in a high key enough level to one-shot you. And you just want to pretty much move them away from these tornadoes. If you do the Expel Intruders near a wall, the melee can kind of just LOS it without having to lose too much uptime. So you see like here, I just LOS, and we just walk there. Easy peasy. And make sure you use the ping system for stuff like that. Like ping, like LOS here, stuff, and just communicate. These packs literally don't do anything. They just melee you, leave a tiny bleed. The big ones that spawn after this next pack leave a have a cast that increases the attack speed. On bolstering week, you really don't care too much because they don't, like, the big guys don't really do much damage, but you still want to prio damage a little bit. But overall, yeah, it doesn't really do too much. Here's the big one. He just does a cast, you kick it. He also does a frontal you have to move out of, but like I said, these mobs don't really do anything. Like, they're pretty non-dangerous. You just pretty much go ahead and hit them. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through these packs. Like I said, they don't really do much, and then we're going to get right into the boss. This is probably the hardest tank boss in here. It's just straight up raw damage. If you're a dwarf, you can remove the bleed. If you're an evoker, you can remove the bleed off the tank. So I'm going to pause it and kind of explain the boss really quick. Actually, I'm not going to pause it. I'm just going to play. So he does Savage Peck, Tank Buster, does initial damage, leaves a bleed, and then he does Screech. So the Screech is a stacking debuff. So he does the debuff, it does magic damage, and then you'll get a stack that increases the damage you take from it. This also interrupts cast, so if you're a caster, watch out. And about 3 or 4 stacks, you want to start defensiving, like diffuse it. And then at 70%, he gives you the option to use this little mini game, and you can put 3 balls in here, and it'll stun. So you want to do the fire one first, and it'll stun him and give him a damage amp. You only want to stun him if you have DPS cooldowns. So here we're going to drop it, Lust. I'm going to pop my jar in and just burst him down. You see, he's stunned, he's taking increased damage. And now after you activated the Firestorm, now he's going to start dropping these fire puddles that you have to dodge. And he's going to continue with the regular mechanics. So just Savage Peck, Screech. He does the little frontal that you have to dodge. And then once you want to drop the next minigame, it'll be the wind minigame. And then it'll be tornadoes on top of the fire circles that you have to dodge. So here we're going to drop our stacks pretty soon. I'm pretty sure we drop it after the next one. So we're going to do one more Deafening Screech right here, and then we're going to drop the stacks. And then you're going to see these giant tornadoes spawn, and you just have to dodge those. So here they go. Boom. And now you have tornadoes plus fire circles to dodge. So it's basically like the fight's difficulty kind of ramps up on Tyrant, since like this is kind of prolonged. And you have to deal with this final phase a bit more. There is a defensive guide down below in the description. It'll be in the Brewmaster guide under the dungeon section, as along with all the routes. And we're going to go back over here, and all this entire area is literally just all the mobs that I spent before. The Mana Fiends, the Battle Axes, the Foragers, and the Scepters. But there is one additional mob which we'll get to when we get to the Vexmus area. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the Vexmus area just so we can get over with. Also, this is another one of those polls where you can kind of LS. So you see where the mage is, like all the way back at the top of my screen? Over there's like a little bug spot, and the Vicious Ambush just won't like go over there because it's like no path available. So you see that ledge all the way over there? That's what you want to go to as arranged in this little area specifically. And the forages also can't get up there. So yeah, we're going to fast forward to the Vexmas area. So this has one extra mob. This has the Unruly Textbook. So this textbook, all it does is does a cast. If it goes off, it just puts the target to sleep. It's basically a stun. It can be dispelled, and it can also be CC'd. So basically, just make sure you CC that cast or kick it. The prio kicks here are Mana Void. Mana Void does not recast on CC, and neither does Surge. So make sure you're CCing those casts, using AoE CC on like multicasts, and using your single target kicks on single casts. Mana Void's the most important. It's the heaviest dot, followed by the sleep, followed by the surge. If surge is hitting more than one person, or hitting more than one cast on one person, CC those, because that's just a one shot. But yeah, this trash area is pretty simple. This is the only heavy CC part of the dungeon, I would say, and it's not too deadly. It's not like this season, like in Throne, where if like one cast get off, you're dead, right? Like it's not that bad. And that's it. We're gonna go on to Vexmas. So Vexmas, again, very simple, low mechanic fight. It has two really important mechanics for tanks: the Arcane Expulsion, which is the giant magic damage frontal, and the orbs. The orbs you want to soak as a tank. I know a lot of tanks don't soak this, and I think it's kind of, there's no reason not to. You're the most durable person in the group. If it gives one dispel that you have to do on the whole group, you don't have to dispel multiple people with the Arcane Orbs debuff. The CD rotation for the Arcane Expulsion will be down below again. You just have to pop a CD for each one of these. On higher keys, it will just one-shot you if you pop nothing, so be really wary about that. The Mana Bomb goes on non-tank players unless there's only 3 people alive, and if the tank is one of them, then it'll pick the tank. So don't have to worry about that. But as a DPS player, you want a defensive. If you have a short duration defensive like Diffuse, make sure the defensive lasts for the whole duration, so that way it catches the explosion too. The Mana Void the Mana Bomb does a dot tick plus an explosion at the end. So say you're playing Karma on Monk, right? Or on Windwalker. You want to defensive at the end of the cast, and then it'll catch the explosion. You want to like Karma at the end of the cast. So it's not like just absorbing the dot. Also, you see I died there because I stood in the balls. Whenever he does Arcane Fissure, it leaves a trail of you with the balls on the ground that you have to dodge. If you get hit by them, you take like 80% of your HP as a tank or just die as a DPS. So just watch out for that. So yeah, you soak orbs, dodge the Arcane Fissure, CD the Arcane Expulsion. That's it. That's the whole fight. And then we go across the bridge. Fast forward here. This is just the same trash told you about before. Scepter, Mana Fiends, and that's it. So I'm going to fast forward past these, and we're going to talk about the Dragon area. So the Dragon area has a couple things. There's the Echo Knights, and the Echo Knights do a Whirlwind. It's called Astral Whirlwind. These can be Z-axised on the stairs, so if you tank them at the top of the stairs, and then the DPS sit at the bottom of the stairs, or just at below them, you can just ignore the entire Whirlwind, and it just does nothing. And then there's the Invokers, which do a Astral Bomb, which does damage to the enemy mobs if you stand in melee with them. And then they do Arcane Missiles, which targets random people and just channels an Arcane Missiles, and that does a boatload of damage. They did nerf this, so it's not as potent as it was before, but you still want to kick and CC them. And that's pretty much it. Really simple mechanics. If you do end up playing the what are they called? The Restores. They do an ability called Celestial Shield, which increases haste. Mages can spell steal this, or you can mind control it with a priest and give your party members haste. So they did change something about this boss. If you played in Season 1, the boss never did this. It summons 2 circles right off the bat. So what I would do is I would drag it to the very entrance and have people with 3 stacks basically drop the first puddles where you come from. And the way puddles drop is you get 3 stacks, so every time you get hit by an ability or you get the debuff that he dispels, so he does Energy Bomb, Arcane Missiles, and the Breath. If you get hit by the Breath and live, you get a stack. If you get hit by his Power Vacuum, you get a stack. You get hit by Energy Bomb, which is a guaranteed stack since it's just a dispel and targeted on players. And then if you get hit by Arcane Missiles, which is just RNG, there's no animation to it, no cast, it's just RNG, and it puts a stack. I would tank it at the very beginning of the room, and just so that way you're just keeping them all like spread out from each other. Then there's the power vacuum, does a circle, you just have to get out of this. There's the breath. There's the energy bomb. That gets dispelled and gives a stack. And these stacks increase your damage done too, so the longer you can keep these stacks, the better. And then there's the energy bomb. The breath. Energy bomb again. And you should have dodged these balls too. Eventually, the original 2 circles will go away, and same with any of the circles. Once they hit a maximum number of circles out, they eventually will go away, or they just time out. Dodge the breath. That's literally the whole fight. This fight's going to be very dependent on where people drop the original puddles, like the first set of puddles, because that dictates how hectic the fight will be. Again, you want to take it to where you came from, like the very entrance, and have people drop their 3 stack circles on the ground, like very far away. You see the first circle there that spawned in the fight is gone now. So now we have a little bit more room. And that's the whole fight. Super simple. You just rinse and repeat that, dodge the balls. You make sure you watch like where the balls are as the tank and move the boss accordingly. So if you notice some of the balls traveling through the boss, like the middle of the boss, you want to move him forward a bit so you're not getting gripped into one of those and getting exploded, because it will just kill your whole group. And yeah, that's the whole fight. That's the whole guide. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys learned something. And have a good one. All the weak orders and routes and guides will be linked down below. Peace out. Good luck in Season 4.